Hey, I got an iPhone. I don't know whether you have an Android or an iPhone. I just got word that the new iPhone 6 or iPhone 5C or, I don't know what they're going to name the new one is coming out. They're going to come out with a cheaper version of the iPhone, kind of made out of, I think, plastic and a bunch of different colors. It's kind of cool because the iPhone's expensive. A lot of people break their screens or they drop it, and if they're locked into a contract, it could be an expensive replacement. So we'll see what happens. But there's so many apps. Like you can download the Relevant Radio app, right? And I have got apps for everything from navigation to my faith. Honestly, there are great faith apps out there. Everything from Divine Mercy to the scripture readings of the day to the Mass. I mean, there's such cool stuff out there, and this really is the future. I just came across a new app. I want to get you plugged into this. A friend of mine, and Don, I want to thank you for sending this along to me, sent me an app. It's called I hope I pronounce it right, the Ahaba the Ahaba Marriage Meter App. It's a mouthful. The Ahaba Marriage Meter App. Now, gentlemen, I'm talking to you guys. Ladies, stay with me because this is going to be good for you. All right? This is kind of an interesting concept. Relevant Radio came out with its Relevant Radio app where you can stream the shows and you can hit my archives and you can pray, you can donate. Cool app Relevant Radio's got going, right? All sorts of cool apps. This is something I think is extremely clever. Have you ever come home, guys, after a long day work and your wife just does not seem herself? Maybe she's making dinner, maybe she's down and out. And you say the wrong things or you're not sensitive or you're demanding of her. Wouldn't you love a little insight into how your lady's day went? Wouldn't it be nice to know how she was feeling emotionally and physically and what went down? Our relationships are so important. We need to work on them. And one thing a priest once told me when I was getting married, he says, Drew, if I give you one piece of advice, and he told my wife this too, he says, if we give you one piece of advice, just remember this. The most important thing to do is to communicate. And he says, I know that sounds simple and broad. He says, I don't care how tired you are, how busy your day was, how much you talked. I want you to make sure that you guys share each other's day. And I never forgot that. And my wife and I, my best friend, I talk to her all the time, she, me, and we touch base throughout the day. And she's my world. She's my soulmate. She's, she's going to help me hopefully grow in holiness, and I'll do the same for her. Well, this new app is kind of cool because it'll help you guys get plugged into your life. And ladies, maybe it's a good way that you can communicate to your husband using electronics, Maybe the words go in one ear with your husband and out the other. Or maybe he's just clueless. He comes home and you're prattling away and he's on his computer or reading something or watching the sports update, right? Maybe that's the case. This app is kind of cool. It tracks traditional NFP information related to physical signs, right? So if you're trying to get pregnant or you're trying to plan your pregnancies a little better, it's a great app to do that when it comes to fertility. But it places special emphasis on tracking the emotional and the relational needs of the woman. Now, wouldn't that be nice? Guys, you're going to score a ton of points. You got to check the app out. I'm telling you, if you can get plugged in to your wife's emotional and relational needs, you're going to be an all-star. What's really cool is she can actually set up an automated message, and you can send it, ladies, to your husband, maybe before he leaves work. Like if my wife had this particular app, she could fire it off a half hour before I'm done the show or right when the show ends, and I'd know exactly what her experience has been that day. And, so when you come home, you know what she needs. It could... I'm sure many of you could probably use that a few times. Look, I just am discovering the app. It was sent to me, as I said, by a friend. And I want to introduce to the program really those who are behind it. And April Jari is the Healthy Living Coordinator at Elizabeth Ministry International. She's been part of a team that has created the Ahaba Marriage Meter. And it's a marital communication app for whatever mobile device you might have. And she is also a natural family planning instructor. So it's kind of a combination of all sorts of things tied up in one app. But I love the idea. I thought I'd share it with you. If we can help marriages or even help fertility, why not? April, good afternoon. Good to have you here today.
Hi, Drew. Thank you for having me.
I love it.
Nice
I said, I said to friends, I said, gosh, I wish I could come up with an idea for an app. If you get a good app, you could really do well for whatever your ministry is or even for yourself personally. And this is kind of an interesting app. Marriage is in crisis in this country. 1 out of 2 of them end in divorce on average, and it fluctuates. Give me the backstory on the app and how it got developed and how it's being received. And I hope I kind of explained as much as I know about it, but maybe you can plug us into all the holes I probably left.
You did a great job describing a lot of what the app can do. We came together about a little over a year ago, and we wanted to develop an app that would really help couples live out their vocation if they're called to marriage, which is a lot of people. And in the busyness of life, sometimes marriage gets put on the back burner, and everything else kind of comes to the foreground. So we wanted to help couples really honor themselves and honor one another with intention. In the app, the couple receives education on what happens physically during the different parts of a woman's cycle, and they also receive education about what happens relationally. So, for example, during a woman's menstrual phase of her cycle, that tends to coincide with an interest in reflection. Meditation and private prayer can be very powerful at this time. Many cultures have seen this as a time for a woman to reconnect with her spiritual purposes. She wants to discard maybe certain beliefs or habits that aren't serving her well anymore. She doesn't have as much energy as at other times, so she needs to rest, reflect, and reevaluate. And our culture, acts like we have to be at, full speed ahead all day, every day, mark out every item on that to-do list. Yeah. But a woman who's menstruating isn't supposed to be doing; she's supposed to be being. So a way that she can honor herself is by canceling unnecessary engagements to allow her more time for rest and reflection. She can take a nap, maybe try to go to bed early. For him, a way that he can honor her is by taking on some of her normal chores so that she has more time for rest and reflection. When I'm in this phase, my husband does the dishes for me. But don't worry, men. When a woman is in her fertile part of the cycle, she's very energetic. She's feeling very creative, very nurturing, and helpless. So that's a good time for her to repay the favor and do something for him that
I like the way you put
to allow him more time for rest and for something that he enjoys. We all need sometimes.
That's interesting. So outside of the cycle, the NFP aspect of this, how's it really going to help the man and the woman? I mean, both partners, I guess, need to have an iPhone or a smartphone of some sort so that they can communicate via the particular app. Has it been has there been a beta testing of this so far? Has it been out there? And what kind of responses are you seeing from people who are using it?
Right now it's only available for Apple devices. It is nearing completion for Android, so we will be starting the beta for Android soon. But it's very rare, we hear, for apps that are submitted to the Apple Store to be okayed by Apple in their first try. But ours was, because we have an awesome developer, Scott Check. We have.
Well, April, let me ask you about the actual app itself and the interaction, the dynamic between the husband and the wife. This is basically, is it a two-way street or a one-way street where she goes ahead and sends how she's feeling, how her day was to him, so he's better prepared? Can he do the same thing and say, I had a terrible day, you can't believe it, my boss was breathing down my neck, and you know what, I need a good meal, get the pasta brewing, or whatever, you know what I mean?
I'm so glad you asked that, because right now, when we developed it, we said, well, we're going to start somewhere. So we started with the woman recording her relational needs, her experiences, her fertility signs. However, we are working on an update that will allow the man to record his experiences and moods as well to share with her.
It's a cool concept.
Coming.
It's a cool concept. I mean, if spouses can better communicate, I think that's awesome. It really is.
Yeah,
if
I
they
think
can
it's
use
great.
an app.
I set my notification. I set it for, like you said before, a half hour before my husband gets off work. So he gets that email, and then he sees, okay, this is where she's at in her fertility cycle. These are the experiences of her day, how she's feeling, and he can prepare himself.
April, let me ask you,
or whatever.
How can people get the app? Do they go to the App Store for that? And the name of it is the Ahaba Marriage Meter App. I'll link over to anybody who wants to check it out. And Ahaba, is it? That's a strange name for an app. Where'd that come from?
We chose the name Ahaba. It comes from Pope Benedict XVI's first encyclical letter, God is Love. And Ahaba is similar to the Greek word agape. And the Pope says Ahaba is a love which involves a real discovery of the other, moving beyond selfishness. It's a love that becomes concern and care for the other. No longer is it self-seeking. It seeks the good of the beloved, and
That's
it becomes
awesome.
ready and even willing for sacrifice.
I love it. That's cool. I love the name. That's cool.
You mentioned all the marriages that fail, and I think our culture really misunderstands love. They say it's a good feeling, but of course our church teaches that no, love equals sacrifice. Love wills the good of the other. So that's why we chose this name.
That's great. Well, the app is available, I know, at your website there. So I'm going to link over to that, and I'm assuming it's available at the Apple Download Store, right?
Yep, you can go to the App Store, and Ahaba Marriage Meter is a long name, so it's Ahaba MM for the abbreviation. But you can also go to ahabaapp.com. That's our website. You can follow us on Twitter at Ahaba App and like us on Facebook.
All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna link over to Facebook so they can, if you're a Facebook friend, it'll show up automatically. Click on it and check it out, and you'll be able to check out an app that might be able to make your marriage just a little richer, open up some communication, and get your husband, ladies, plugged into how you're feeling. And in the future, with the updates, gentlemen, it'll be a two-way street, that's for sure. Hey, April, keep up the good work there. I know that the Ministry of Elizabeth Ministry International has done wonderful work for years, and they're a great group. And I wish you the best with the app and all that you do to help women and to serve the church.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
April Jari, folks, it's at 12 minutes before the top of the hour. I need to take a short break, but I'll be back on the other side with more. Don't go away.